instead of desk height, so like 36 inches.
Got it. Yeah.
So
Well, at least you don't. I mean, the
down.
one thing, whenever going back to TV, but I had one of my old producers in here the other day, and David took a photograph of the two of us, and you just have to make sure the height of the chairs is fairly close to each other. You can always tell you got an egotistical
Mm.
guy who in real life is, I'm probably, I don't know, probably 5, 6 inches taller than her. But she was sitting in a chair. She looked like she was 4 or 5 inches taller than me. So a jerk of a male would put the chair up so that he's, 5 or 6 inches taller than her. If you're polite, you just leave it within an inch or two, almost exactly the same or whatever. Uh,
Yeah.
I don't know. That's off on a tangent, but all right. Oh, wait, I need to adjust my clock.
Hey, that segment I did last week about what millennials want in a home,
Right.
it went kind of viral.
Nice.
He extracted out some shorts, and it got like 1.7 million views already. People are
Nice.
commenting.
You know
So
what? Gosh, dang it. You know what? David just said we knew that was the one, and I think absolutely, but that is incredible. I mean,
yeah.
talk about reach.
Yeah, I don't know what I said, but there's like 5 or 6 comments, and
I think
anyway,
just the fact that just the fact I think sometimes that you were talking to them or about them,
right.
might just be enough.
Yeah, he said it just goes to show you they're online.
Yes. Well, and now, if gosh, if you can hook them in with something like that, and then you know what, I'm going to be quiet. You are the expert on marketing. What the hell do I trying to tell you something? Well, congratulations is what I was saying, and I
Yeah.
still think it'd be great to have you on here. You know what? I've got to let me get something out of my system here. I'm sorry, it'd be so gross. I usually go out there, but there's a whole bunch of people standing around there. So, all right. Okay. I've got a clock, I got a script, I got you, I got David, and I'm ready to go if you are.
All right, I'll go kind of fast. David, you have to go at one.
I try to.
Okay.
If we aim for that, because I've got to be in Lone Tree for a doctor's appointment at 2, but I think that's actually the check-in time. I think the appointment is 2:20. I'll check that, but we've got
Okay.
to do this. I'll count us down in 3, 2, 1. Hi, I'm Richard Randall, and welcome to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, the owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. This is the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with Colorado's real estate authority, Barb Schlinker. Barb Schlinker is a retired Navy veteran. Barb is an author. Barb Schlinker is a pilot. And Barb and her team enjoy all that Colorado and the Front Range have to offer. Barb, always great to be talking with you. Now, we air Your Real Estate Voice every Saturday. If you can't listen to the entire show, it's always available on Barb's site, barbhasbuyers.com, or just search Barb on most of the podcast platforms, Spotify, iHeartRadio, etc. So, Barb, what are we going to be talking about this week?
Well, the one thing was kind of a surprise to me when I looked at the market stats. Colorado Springs home values are actually heading higher just in the past few weeks. So I'm excited to deep dive into that. And also at the tail end of that segment, I'm going to talk about how you can help your younger millennials get into a home right now without too much pain. And then the next topic is going to be the new Colorado real estate trends that are happening in 2024. And then also we're going to talk about home inspection problems. I know I bring this up a lot, but that's because it happens a lot. So I always
Yeah.
have more stories to tell. And then the last one is agent showing nightmares and how to avoid them. It's a little hard to avoid them sometimes, but at least I will give you a heads up on what to expect. So you won't be surprised if mistakes happen in showings, like leaving the doors unlocked or the lights on
Oh
or
my gosh.
other things. So, and of course, as always, I love talking about my hot new listings. Richard?
Every week. Oh, they're great. So, Barb, as fewer people bought homes in 2023 due to the higher interest rates and fewer homes to choose from for buyers, how is 2024 going to be different for the Colorado Springs housing market? And what's going on with home values right now?
Well, what's interesting is in 2023, it was actually the lowest volume of home sales probably since the 90s. And part of that had to do with interest rates. The rates went up as high as over 8.06%. And that created an awful lot of demand destruction. But that was just a few weeks ago. And now the world is turning around. So we still have low inventory. And it is definitely an affordability problem, especially for the first-time home buyer. But we're going to talk about solutions at the end of this segment. And I think this year already, I'm seeing a lot more pending contracts just in my own little business. So I think it's good. And part of the reason is that the inventory is actually decreasing, meaning the number of available homes that the buyers have to choose from. And that's just been in the last 2 or 3 weeks. On January 5th, we had 980 available single-family homes in the Colorado Springs area. And on January 26th, we had 924, 6% decrease in just 3 weeks. So what does that mean? Homes are getting snapped up. And then I tried to compare what did we look for the median list price just a few weeks ago versus right now. And the big surprise to me was on January 5th, the median price was 515. And now here we are at the end of January or early February, and it's up to 521. So in just 1 month, the median home prices have ticked up $5,000. We're also seeing about the same time as days on market. And I think that's more of a hangover of the higher interest rates. We went in early December from 8% all the way down to 6.8, 6.9. And so in the middle of all that, we had holidays. So I believe that as we go into the spring, it's going to be a really good market. And I think we're going to see prices go up. So if you're a home seller, this is a great time to sell. My statistical source uses this term called the market action index. And basically what it's showing, it kind of compares seller's market to buyer's market. And it's showing some signs of strengthening that should indicate that we'll see an upward trend in the number of sales. And if prices keep going up, we're also going to see a increase in prices as well. And it's interesting to me that I listen to a lot of press about whether or not the rates are going to go up and or go down. And I hear mixed things. I hear, oh yeah, he's going to meet tomorrow, I guess, and probably going to keep it the same, but maybe not lower the rates in March, maybe not until the second quarter. We don't know, but as it stands right now, mortgage pricing depends on supply and demand. And a lot of times as a buyer, you could negotiate with the seller and help get them to help or get them to finance into the loan, like raise the price and cover the closing cost and actually buy down the interest rate so you have a lower payment. So there's a lot of ways around this, and people are getting more and more creative. As I look at the 7-day average of median list price, which is a leading indicator of whether or not prices are heading back up, we're seeing that number go up pretty substantially just in the last couple of weeks. Also, the other thing that we see is probably from October through the January of 2024, we're seeing increased sales, lower inventory, but not so much that there isn't a balance between buyer and sellers. And the buyers right now, I think, are more ready to pick up new inventory than they have been in the past few months. Then if you take a look at El Paso County-wide statistics, it tells very much the same stuff. So I would think in this whole area, it's going to be similar. Their median list price is $539. The inventory again is dropping. Days on market are dropping. And overall, we're seeing about a 4% price increase. So that's pretty good. And I don't know where that's going back from a year or whatever. So that is why if you're thinking of making a move right now, especially if you have to sell a home, you have to get all the four P's right. Preparation, make your home at the very minimal move-in ready so buyers don't have to fix anything when they move in. Picking the right agent that knows how to give you good guidance, not only on how to prepare the home for sale, how to price the home realistically, but also how to promote it. I was talking to a seller yesterday that told me that her former agent took pictures of her master and they had moved the end tables out of the way and took a picture like that. It was just like the end tables are in the middle of the room. It didn't make any sense. And that was a marketing photo. It's like that should not happen. So it's really important that you get the promotion part right because we know that 99% of the home buyers start their search online and they eliminate homes that they don't want to see based on their online presentation. And if you'd like to go on my website, barbhasthebuyers.com, and download any one of the free reports, but this one will give you more information about how to get the four P's right. This free report is titled The 7 Top Tips to Get Your House Ready to Sell for Top Dollar. Go to barbhasthebuyers.com, click on the green button, free reports, and it'll all be there for you. It's also extremely important that you price your home what I call very realistically versus optimistically. The people that price their price their home high for quote negotiating room and then slowly walk the price down. And towards the end, what I'm seeing is a lot of these home sellers are rapidly walking the price down. Like they reach a point where 4 or 5 months later, they have to sell and they just tank the price. So according to national statistics, you're actually going to net less money if you price high and then slowly walk the price down. I just sold a couple of homes very quickly because they priced their home very realistically. The one on Oak Creek sold for over asking price in 11 days. And I had one on Pastime that sold, it priced it very realistically. And we ended up selling right at asking price in just 5 days. That's the way you do it right. And that way you don't have to worry about showing after showing and people leaving doors open and stuff like that. So to get your free report, go to barbhasthebuyers.com or give us a call at 719-301-3900. Richard?
Now, Barb, we're discussing the current real estate market and how prices are heating up. It does not appear that prices will be dropping anytime soon. What can young home buyers do to get into homes these days?
Well, I like this topic because, I just posted a video on my YouTube channel about what millennials want in a home. And I got a lot of views on it. And the thing that was really interesting was that a lot of the comments were, we just can't afford a home right now. So if more than 52% of the home sellers on the market are boomers. So a lot of the baby boomer generation, these are the kids of the baby boomers, have a lot of equity in their home. They could tap into the equity and help their young person with down payment. They can also do things like they can um, help them with a home. I got stuck. Hang on just a second. I had a plan. Oh, I know what I was going to say. Okay, so here's a way. Let me just fix that, DJ. All right. So home equity line of credit is one option that you can get. And some of these banks, it's really easy to get them. The interest rates are not cheap necessarily, but they're easy to get. They tap into your equity. You can go up to 80% of your home value and take some equity out to help them with their down payment. The closing costs are very low, only a couple $100s. You can also gift your kids every year 18,000 starting in 2024. You can gift each kid 18,000 without a retirement tax penalty, and that might be a good idea as well. We're only blessed with one son, and he's going to get it all in the end. So we don't mind helping him early, and that's kind of what we did. We invested together and we all pitched in for the down payment on this home. He is living there, but it helped him get into a really nice place versus throwing away $1,800 and $1,900 a month on rent that he'll never get back. And that way he gets to enjoy the home equity while the property values rise where he is. And he has a sense of ownership. He has skin in the game. It was really important to him to contribute to the down payment because then he felt like it was his, which I think is kind of fun. And so what sellers should do is basically pick the right team to help them sell if they are thinking of selling. And we have right now over 27,809 buyers in waiting just on our little website looking for homes. And typically we can match at least 100 buyers to any home. Plus we have our cash buyers as well. And all you have to do if you are thinking of moving, we give a free in-home consultation on what to do, what not to do to get your house ready for sale. We'll go over all the closing costs and we'll show you exactly how much you'll put in your pocket when it sells, when you're ready. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice. That's Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. And if you are thinking of making a move, call Barb 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll be talking about new Colorado real estate trends now and through the entire year 2024. Stay tuned for that. I like that. You know what? I like you personalizing your son in that. I'm going to run to the men's room real quickly.
Okay.
I still got this funky cold or whatever that I got right after Christmas. And so I just always have stuff in my lungs.
They've all been taking a month to go away for some reason. Hopefully I didn't muck that up too much for you, DJ.
I have it marked. We're
Okay.
cool.
All right. I was like, no, that's not what I wanted to say. I know what I want to say. No.
When you start to struggle, I write down that time and I'm like,
Okay.
if I can clean that up.
I appreciate it.
No worries.
Because I looked at the time, I'm like, okay, I got to cut some of this out.
Yeah, no problem. Taking a little while to save today.
I am back, Barb.
Okay. I'm just kind of
Oh, no, I'm not rushing you. I was just letting you know that I was back.
trying to put it up so I have my notes in front of me.
Don't do that. I'm going to run and get a box of Kleenex real quick.
Okay. That's cool. It's got graphics. That's pretty. So DJ, somebody
This one, I don't even,
looked at one of my listings and
I don't want to sound
did I
as
tell you
bad
about
as
this last week? He took a poop in 2 toilets and didn't flush.
Ew.
And the seller was gone for like 5 days and he gets back and goes, "What's that smell?" And he was
an
so mad.
agent or somebody was looking at the house.
I think it was the buyer.
Oh my God.
He had him on his Ring doorbell dashing for the bathroom. But it's like, okay, fine if you have to use the bathroom. It's not okay if you don't flush.
Exactly. Treat it like it's your house. I'm not,
Disgusting.
I'll tell you the truth is every now and then, like yesterday, we had somebody do the same thing. And, we have one restroom for all 6 stations. And I'm like, dang it, how
How
hard
hard is
is it
it?
to do this?
It makes no
And
sense.
And what I hate is, I was talking to Ray, my producer, it's about the same time. We both said the problem is, and then you go in there, you close the door, and then you see that. And it's like, nope, I'm out of here. And then you walk out the door and you're like, oh, people are looking at me and thinking that was me who did that. Jeez.
That's why you were dashing away.
Yeah. Gosh, dang.
It's
Okay.
just, he was so mad. He wanted me to take the video things and send it to the agent, but I'm like, it's
Help
such an
anything.
awkward conversation. I'm not going to talk about it on the show, but
I don't know that it would help anything either.
Exactly. I don't think you'd get any more money or, it's just sometimes you have to bite the bullet and just say,
Like,
well, that was
come on.
yeah,
Get your act together.
exactly.
but I
Gosh,
mean,
okay.
I don't know who would think that's okay. That's the part that just amazes me.
But I don't know that you can correct the behavior.
Yeah, by the time somebody gets to that point, not once, but 2 bathrooms, and I mean, you honestly almost have to intentionally do that.
Yeah.
Your human nature
Either
is just
that or
to
he was sick. That's the only thing I could figure.
well, if he was running too, he probably was sick, but you can still flush a toilet when you're sick. Okay.
Last I checked.
Yeah. All right. I'm ready. How about you, Barb?
I'm ready.
I'll count us down in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker. She's the host of the program, and this is the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate. And it does it with Barb Schlinker, the owner of Your Home Sold, Guaranteed Realty. Now, Barb, as people move to doing a lot more of their activities using new technologies, how has that affected real estate? And what do you expect to happen in the future when it comes to those technologies and how it affects people?
Well, Richard, I want to give a shout out to a writer that gave me the idea for this topic. His name is Josh Howarth, and he wrote a blog called The 7 Key Real Estate Trends for 2024 through 2026. And, I will admit, in the real estate world, much of my boomer generation has not happily embraced technology. It's been a challenge. Don't you agree, Richard? You might be younger than me, but
No, I think we're about the same age. I think it happens on a need be basis. You just let it hang out there. The kids and the generations behind do it. And then when you have to learn for work or how to communicate, whatever, it's like, you remember they used to have those video recorders and the clock would just flash 12, 12, 12 because nobody knew how to set the clock. I think that's a good analogy.
Well, my husband was so proud of himself recently because he learned how to send an email with an attachment. He's like, "Oh, this is great." He probably won't remember. He probably ask me again next time. But it's not easy and transparent for us. Whereas the younger generation, they grew up with it. It's nothing, and they're basically starting with the millennials, even Gen X. They're like what they call the digital generation, right? And so here's one technology that they use in a different way, which is the telephone. I remember one time we were watching a movie and on the screen was a rotary dial phone. And my son said, "Mom, what is that?" And I'm like, "It's a phone." He's like, "How does it work?" So it's really changed a lot. They actually don't use a phone as a phone if they can avoid it. They prefer texting, anything other than speaking on the phone. And that is their laptop, that is their desktop, that is their iPad. I watch my son all the time. He's 28 and he does everything on his phone. Whereas for me, the font's too small and it's too hard. But that's very easy for them. So many of the younger generation would way prefer texting or talking. They are going to research you on Google and the properties on Google or some other platform long before they're going to bother to raise their hand and speak. And so that's why we implemented one of our systems is proprietary. It's called House Talk, where even though my yard sign is like the phone number on my yard sign is at least a foot tall, they're not going to call me because I'm a scary salesperson. But I guarantee you, they will possibly text that number, but more than likely they're going to sit in front of it, they're going to Google it. So we created what we call the House Talk sign, which has a domain and a QR code where they can get all the information 24/7 about the house without having to talk to a scary salesperson. So overall, house hunting's become pretty much digital, right? It years ago, I know I'm dating myself, but when I first started in the industry, we didn't have everything online yet. If you wanted to buy a piece of real estate, you had to go meet a real estate agent who knew the inventory, knew what was available, and they break out this thing that looked like a phone book. It was the MLS book, and that was the homes that were available for sale. Now everything is online. So before agents controlled the inventory, now the buyers control what they want to see. And that's why digital marketing is so important to get that right, because we know that a majority of the buyers are eliminating homes based on the online presentation. So you really can't make a mistake when it comes to something like that. So a lot of these new tools have been brought into play, like this one example I'm showing right now is a 3D tour, and it's kind of cool. You can take your mouse and move around and look in different rooms. It's almost like being in the room. Technology wise, it's probably easy for the younger people to use these. I think they're a little bit challenging. Have you ever tried one, Richard?
I haven't. My kids have done it, and they put like the goggles on, so it's like a virtual game or whatever. I suppose you could probably do that with homes as well. But I will say this: you keep up with all of the current trends. So whether it's people my age or people who are in their 20s, you're able to communicate and sell homes or get homes for them.
Yeah, and we don't always deploy these tours because not every home is perfect and looks like a model home. The problem with this technology is the graphics, the images are so high quality. You could zoom in and see the dust on the baseboards. I mean, it is pretty extraordinary. So if I have things that I don't want to highlight in a home, I won't deploy this tool. But on the real pretty move-in ready ones, they're kind of nice to have. Also, drone imagery is really nice because sometimes a drone can fly up and sort of get a bird's eye view, give you a perspective on whether or not you got views, what are the homes around you. That kind of thing is important, and people really like that. It gets the buyers to want to come. Another thing that we do quite a bit is what we call virtual staging. So we'll take an empty room that looks kind of lackluster, and we can digitally insert furniture so it looks more attractive. Now, there are some people that say, "Oh, I only want to. Would rather look at a home if it's vacant." However, when you look at a picture of an empty room, it's very hard to see the size of the room, the scale of the room, and for somebody non-creative like me, I can't see how I'm going to fit furniture in the room just by looking at an empty room. There are some people that have the artistic brain that can do that. I can't do that. But these things bring them in, and it's very nice to have. Another trend, of course, is the millennials are using social media platforms to kind of learn about the neighborhood, because a lot of these people are moving kind of away from the high density cities into these suburbs, but they would like to get the benefits of a big city feel, like they'd like to have the amenities. That's why we see a lot of people moving from Denver down to Colorado Springs. We're not as big as Denver, but we have almost all of the amenities. And I did some research on that recently, and I found that for the third quarter, of 2023, Realtor.com does this thing called a cross-market demand study, and it shows which searches, what counties were the searches in looking at Colorado Springs as an example. And the top 6 counties were from Denver, believe it or not, Arapahoe, Denver, Jefferson, Adams, Douglas, etc., because it's more affordable to have housing down here versus up there in Denver. And many people are allowed to telecommute for some of the days of working or work from home almost solely. Another trend that we see going on is a lot of people are moving to what they call the Sun Belt, which is all the southern states across the United States. 75% of the country's population growth in the past 10 years has been to the Sun Belt. Now, I don't know if that's because of winters. What do you think, Richard?
I think probably because I think when you're younger, you like to ski, you like to be outdoors. You start getting a little bit older, and you don't even like running from the car into work.
Yeah, it's true. And then we're seeing an increased demand for single family homes versus townhomes, condos, especially in the suburbs. And there's a bit of a dilemma with the low inventory right now, what I call the golden handcuffs, only because those people that are thinking of moving might be sitting on really low interest rates, like 2.25, 2.5% fixed rate. And if they have to make a move now, the rates are 6.9. It's going to really affect their affordability as well. And that's why we're seeing low inventory right now in this market. My name is Barb Schlinker. I'm the host of this show, Your Real Estate Voice. I'm also the broker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Barb has the buyer's team. And we're talking about new real estate trends that will take us through 2026. And next up, we're going to be talking about some housing trends you should know, especially if you're planning to make a move in the next few years. And if you are planning on making a move, that's part of what we do. We give our clients a free in-home consultation on what to do, what not to do to get their house ready for sale. We'll give you a really good idea what your home will sell for, show you all of our list of buyers, and show you exactly how much you'll put in your pocket when it sells. So if you are thinking of moving, give us a call, 719-301-3900, or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. And you can always reach Barb at 719-301-3900. If you're in your car and you can't listen to the entire show right now, you can always catch it on Barb's YouTube channel. Plus, Barb Has the Buyers can kick you over to some of the podcasts as well. So, Barb, when we're talking about some of these trends that are going to change the real estate world over the next few years, what are the rest of those trends?
Well, as we see prices keep going up, and I think this is a big surprise for a lot of the buying population. They were expecting that, oh, if rates go up, the prices must come down, right? I'm going to wait for the prices to come down. And it's really not happening. In fact, it's going up. And part of that has to do with the people that are sitting on low rates are reluctant to move, which means that there's fewer homes to choose from. So higher rates definitely do make homes less affordable. That's one trend that we're seeing. Another one is we're seeing a little bit lower demand for rental properties. I have to tell you, just looking around town, it seems like there's no end to apartment construction. Did you notice that, Richard?
Absolutely, especially downtown and a little bit south of downtown. I just always wonder, are they ever going to be able to fill all of these?
Right, it's everywhere. But I know commercial real estate rentals are going to be probably seeing some problems. I just met with a seller a few days ago that has a fiveplex, and he's facing his adjustable rate adjusting after the 5 years is what you see in a commercial loan. And he's ready to, sell it and get out of the trap. So I think that we'll see commercial rental office real estate in particular be a lot more competitive. I don't know about single family homes and rentals. I'm not really sure. We are seeing kind of a leveling off of rental rates, but it's still really expensive to get a single family home, over $2,000 to rent a single family home. So if you are thinking of making a move, this is part of what we do. We help our home sellers get a really good idea about what to do, what not to do to get your house ready for sale. As an example, another thing that we're seeing is that people are moving from the cities to the suburbs and they're opting to own a home versus renting. So I don't know if you've noticed, Richard, around town, we see these homes that are called urban style. To me, if you're a Star Trek fan, they look like the Borg cube. Do you know what I'm talking
Yes.
about?
Yes.
They're just like vertical cubes. They don't have very big yards, but they're fresh and new and neat and tidy. Those things are selling like hotcakes, and they tend to
Seriously.
be
I mean, they look
priced.
like they're stacked so close together.
They are. I mean, you can definitely pass the sugar to your neighbor and not much for a yard. So, but they are selling, and I think probably it's just because it's more affordable. So that is your competition if you're selling. You have to consider that when you're thinking of selling your home. Either you have to price it very, very realistically if you're choose not to do updates, or make sure it's updated enough so it's move-in ready for the buyer. So if you are thinking of moving, give us a call at 719-301-3900. We'll show you our buyers, your selling range, and how much you'll put in your pocket. No cost or obligation. Call us at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold, Guaranteed Realty. And if you are thinking of making a move, call Barb right now, 719-301-3900, or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. A short break. When we come back, we'll be discussing home inspection problems that sellers face when they're selling a house here in Colorado. Except we're going to leave out some.
What'd you think about that? It was kind of a new segment.
Right. I didn't have my headphones on. I think it's good. Do you think he should leave in the part where I say they're stacked so close together? Yeah, I think you're
They
right.
are.
Say, take it
You can
out.
see them. You drive by and go, what's
I
that?
know. But here's the weird thing. When I moved out here from Illinois, that was the first thing I noticed when I first came out here is a lot of the homes, they had backyards and stuff, but they were right next to each other. And I'm like,
Yeah.
gosh, dang, these developers figured out how to make money off of every inch. And then I see that. But Barb, I have to tell you, I know both of my kids, and they're both renting houses right now. Both of my kids would love to have something like that.
They don't care
Yeah,
about the distance between, and I want to breathe. Okay.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So is to have their own place and to not have to have anybody tell them that they can't paint their walls, purple or whatever. So I think all those things are important. I like a bigger yard, but it's always been the case here where they were stingy about real estate when they build homes, but it's gotten a lot worse, a lot more high density feeling.
Personally, I like the older homes. I like those styles. Um,
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of cool things about them, especially the yards.
I love the craftsmanship in
Mhm.
in in the older homes, especially around 1900.
Oh, those are
They
so
just,
hard to maintain though.
yeah,
I've sold a couple of those and it's pretty much a full-on gut redo, and including the foundation sometimes.
yeah.
The woodwork and the cosmetic parts are beautiful, but if they're not, you have to really stay on them to keep them maintained. Yeah, they don't do that kind of work anymore.
Yep. It's kind of sad.
Okay, let me see here. Okay, I am back,
Okay.
as if that's a big deal. All right. Okay. I'm ready whenever you are, Barb.
All right, give me a second. I'm
Yeah,
having
you take your
thoughts.
time because I always have stuff that I can do to mark up the scripts and everything. So I don't ever want you to feel like you're rushed. Okay.
Okay.
And I'm dead serious about that.
On the last one, I kind of wanted to say, there was a time when people buy homes sight unseen, you know, I
Yeah,
don't, I don't think I would do that.
I would never. I mean, she's, but I will. Didn't want to interrupt too much. I think I interrupt sometimes too much, especially at the very beginning there.
I
But
don't,
compared to 2 years ago, 4 years ago, 6 years ago, there was a time when I used laptops at home. I used desktops at home. And, I had a phone. I didn't do much on it. And then I went to laptops primarily, hardly ever. I don't even know if I have a desk hooked up. So it's mostly laptops. And then I started using iPads. Then the laptops are gone and it was iPads and phones. And in the past 6 months, I guess I'm like the people you're talking about. I do everything on my phone. Hardly.
really.
Yeah. And I agree with you. It's when I go to edit audio and stuff, it's hard, or the font is a problem. I've got my font set as large as it can be, quite honestly.
Yeah, the size of my mouse is my little mouse pointer.
Oh, there you
Where is
The
it?
kids call it that font, old man font. Thank you. Thank you. Or yo boomer font is probably what they ought to call it.
Right. Well, I get like emails from these younger ones and it's like real teeny tiny. I'm like, okay, what's it say?
Gosh, we were talking in the break there, 1.7 million. That, gosh, that says so much about you, honestly. All right. I've got a script ready to go. I've got David ready to go. I'm ready to go. You ready to go, Barb?
I'm ready. This is one of my funnest topics.
It truly is. And you know what? I don't think it's ever been boring. And boring doesn't make it on radio on the weekend. So I'll count us down in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker. It's the weekly radio show that informs you and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate. And it does it with Barb Schlinker, the owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Now, Barb, I would think a majority of people selling their home expect that the buyer will purchase it as is without any repairs. But I've learned from you that the reality is most buyers do an inspection, and sometimes it goes well, and other times can be a little bit frustrating for home sellers. Tell us about your experience.
Well, Richard, I think part of the problem is that the some of the buyers don't know what they're looking for, so they rely on what they call experts to tell them if their home is that they're picking to buy is in good enough condition for them to buy. But one of the weird things about this state is there is no license to be an inspector. Anybody could be an inspector. If it makes you feel any better, most of them get an online certification. And I could be an inspector, and I'm scary with a tool in my hand. And so some are good, some are awful. I've had landscapers do inspections on my listings. I've had the daddy of the buyer do inspections on my listings. Neither one of those went very well. Um, so all kinds of things can happen. And so I had to, it just reached a point where I couldn't take it anymore. And so I had to establish a new inspection policy. I know it sounds like very government-esque, but so every time one of my listing goes under contract, I have to send them an email with a video because they're not going to read the email. I can't even get them to read the MLS and say, look, here's my rule about inspection. So we'll go into the do's and don'ts and kind of what I expect later on in the segment. But you just never know what kind of expertise you're going to deal with, either on the agent side or the buyer side or the inspector side. So it gets really, really interesting. And a lot of times the buyers will ask for stuff after the inspection that is not reasonable. Let me give you an example. Just last month, I had a buyer come back and say, well, um, my buyer's insurance company won't insure a roof that's more than 10 years old. Therefore, we want a new roof. Is that a good reason, Richard?
That sounds like a horrible reason. If there's something wrong with the roof, it's been hailed, go ahead and do it. But
Right.
it's 10 years and it's perfect. What the heck?
Is 10 years and 2 months old. It's a high impact, high quality roof. We had two roofers look at it. Both of them said, this roof is fine. There's nothing wrong with this roof. And so we kind of just said no to the buyer, sent them back to the drawing board, and they picked a new insurance company. But some people are very unreasonable, but there is a way through the inspection process to kind of dispel the seller's fears and help them prepare so they're not surprised. Most buyers do at least one inspection. Some will do more than one. They might bring in experts to look at the furnace or experts to look at the roof in addition to their home inspection experts, and that's fine. But I would say overall, the agents are definitely not trained on what is normal protocol. I got a call this morning about it, saying, "Oh, well, we got the resolution, and you can't do that. It's not legal." And I'm like, so some of the stuff I get is just kind of funny. And there are a lot of assumptions made. And there are some agents that literally encourage their buyer to ask for things just to get stuff. In fact, I challenged one time when, there were two electrical panels. One was brand new, the other was older. There was nothing wrong with it, but he asked for $1,000 credit for a new panel. And I said, really, are you really going to terminate over $1,000? He goes, no, but I had to ask. He just had to ask for
Not
something.
complicated enough.
Yeah. So I also have problems with behavior on inspections, extraordinary problems. I've had agents just walk into an occupied home without knocking, track snow in the home. That was the same event. Open the door, let the inspector in, then turn around and leave. I've had buyers, agents bring in not just the buyer. It's okay for the buyer, the inspector, and the agent to attend, but then they bring in their family members or outside contractors to give them bids for stuff. It is not time to have a party. In fact, on one of my listings, I absolutely got this panicky call from the seller going, what in the heck is going on? Are they squatting in my house? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he goes, I just saw on the Ring doorbell that pizza's being delivered there. And it wasn't one pizza, it was 4 pizzas and a bag of wings. So it was a good question. Of course, they were out of town wondering what was happening in their house. So, I mean, crazy stuff happens on inspections. I've had inspectors red tag the furnace because they took their little gadget to measure carbon monoxide. The gadget wasn't configured properly, and so it went off. And he turns the furnace off in the middle of February and says, oh, this is bad, made the buyer terminate. There was nothing wrong with the furnace. It was 18 months old. In fact, the gas company said, do you smell gas? And the seller's like, no. There's nothing wrong with it. It was his gadget that was wrong. Oh gosh, this is something that happens all too often where either the buyer's agent or the inspector asks the seller to leave their own home during the inspection. How would you feel about that, Richard?
You know what? It's still my home until it's sold.
That's right. And where does this sense of entitlement that they get to have the house all to themselves for the inspection come from? Maybe that's what's normally done, but it's not normal to all of my clients. And just last month, there was an inspection going on. The outside air temperature was 1 degrees, and he had a dog and 2 cats. And I said, you're home, you can stay for the inspection. So sure enough, I get a call from the agent going, well, the seller's there. And I'm like, yes. And she's like, well, that's just not professional. And I'm like, what? I said, are you asking me to tell my seller to leave their own home? Well, no, but it's just not normally done that way. I said, look, if you and your buyers want private time in the house, we can arrange for that, but it's freezing outside and he's not going to drag his pets outside and wait for 3 hours for you to do your inspection. Oh, okay. So I think people just, there is no training, there's no standardization for real estate. And so the way they've done it before to every agent's experience is the way it's supposed to be. And that's not necessarily the case. I had one agent recently who was sitting on the front porch yakking away, not paying attention to what his inspector was doing. In the meantime, this is a property with a well. The inspector went and turned every faucet, every sink, every tub, inside faucet, outside faucet on, not just for a short while, for hours. It was 3 hours of the water running. And of course, he sucked the well tank dry. It sucked sand up into the sinks and in the tub inside the house, which probably cavitated and damaged the well pump. And I get this text from my client going, why is there sand in my sink? I've never seen this before. I mean, they're idiots. And then the funniest thing was he put on his inspection report, and it's hard to see it in this picture, but basically in the report, he showed this little video with the water spewing out of the hose, but the actual gauge wrote 0. And he goes, oh, there's no water pressure. I'm like, oh my God, this is so bad. So there's no standardization for inspections. There's no criteria for them to be qualified. Some of them get an online certification. I've had the biggest trouble I have is the latest trend that started in 2018 is that the buyers want to check the sewer line, which I understand that if it's broken, it's a big ticket item. However, the way they go about it is not right. So many of the homes that were built prior to 2000 may not necessarily have a sewer clean out in the yard where you can easily unscrew the cap, run your little video out there and see if there's any roots or whatever in the sewer line. Well, if they didn't have it, what started happening is these Joe Billy Bob inspectors would come in and remove a toilet without permission and run their scope through the toilet. Would you like that, Richard?
No, it's still my house and I don't want anybody messing it up. I mean, you can make arrangements to do all kinds of inspections, but you don't have to do damage to the seller's house.
Right. And I've had them break the flange that the toilet's attached to. I've had them tear vinyl flooring. I've had them not properly reseat the toilet and cause leaks. It's a problem. So if you don't hire an agent that has the expertise to let you know what to expect and be able to put boundaries in place so you don't get one of these crazy inspectors tearing apart your house, it could be a problem. So what we do to solve the problem, we offer what's called a certified pre-owned home program so that the seller doesn't have to worry about surprises on their inspections. And so, when they come and ask for stuff, you don't have to agree to anything. But if you have a pre-inspection, you have a pretty good idea of what the problems are and what the problems are not on an inspection. So my name is Barb Schlinker. I'm the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. I've been here in the business since the 90s. I've seen a lot of stuff happen. And when we come back, we're going to go over the top 9 tips to avoid the fear of a home inspection and what you can do about it. And if you are thinking of moving, give us a call at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice. That is Barb Schlinker. She's your real estate voice, and she's the owner proprietor of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, as well as the host of the program. We're talking about home inspection problems that home sellers face. So, Barb, what are some other tips that you have for our listeners, things that they should know?
Well, don't worry about the inspector nitpicking their home. They are going to do it anyway. And that is their job. So they're going to look for every little nook and cranny. And I've actually had sellers get really upset when I email them both the inspection report and what the buyers are asking for, which is not the same thing. Inspection report covers every little problem with the house, but what they're asking for is usually, hopefully, a different shorter list. So sometimes people read the report first and think that their home is an absolute disaster. So I have to call them and go, don't read the report. That's just for reference. Focus on what they asked for. And it is a point of negotiation. So you really want somebody that knows how to negotiate when it comes to inspections. Some things are reasonable, some things are not reasonable. Sometimes you have to bring in your own contractors to solve the problem and see, well, is this really a problem or not? I would say probably half the inspections I receive on my listing, the inspectors will go around and they'll plug up all the sinks, the bathroom sinks, and fill it up and just run it for a while. And as a result, it kind of goes over to that little spillover part in the sink and causes a leak. And then they report a leak under the sink. Happens all the time. I've also had an inspector recently where the buyer's agent was up in Denver and couldn't be bothered to attend. And so her inspector, we were there, the seller was there, and on the stairwell going downstairs, he grabbed on it so hard that he made it loose. And then, of course, what shows up in the objection? Oh, you got to fix that. And we're like, no, it wasn't loose until you were grabbing on that rail. But she wasn't there. She didn't know. And that's what I'm saying. It's really important that you have somebody represent you for inspections because not everybody does that. They just, I've actually had agents say, can't you just give the combo to my inspector and let him in the home for 3 hours going over all your systems? And most of the home sellers that I talk to don't want that. And that's basically what I tried to do was create this inspection policy. And every time one of my listing goes under contract, I will send them not only a document about what the rules are, but also a video going over these things so that they don't push the boundaries. And, I used to try to, a lot of agents don't want to go to the inspections. They feel like it's a waste of their time. And so I tried to put a commission penalty in for them not doing it because we're the ones that get tagged if my client isn't represented. But I got busted by the MLS police. So I had to create a policy, which makes it very clear what the boundaries are. And if they want to pull a toilet, they're going to have to bring in a licensed plumber. And we're going to be there. And they should be there to represent their client, in my opinion. But I can't tell them how to do their job. So if you are thinking of moving, give us a call. We love representing our clients, 719-301-3900, or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You are so good at representing your clients and the fiduciary relationship you have with them. You're the only person that I ever recommend. Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, your real estate voice show going on right now. And if you're thinking of selling your home and you want to get the most amount of money when you sell, call Barb at 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. Short break. When we come back, we'll be talking about agent showing nightmares, plus how to avoid them and Barb's hot new listing. Stay tuned for that. I do when I'm doing the live reads, I always go back to how important representing your client is to you. And the experience, I've mentioned pretty frequently that, you don't get any bargaining lessons when you get your real estate license. You don't get anything to do with marketing. You learn that through experience. And I don't know, I'm passionate about you.
Yeah, it's kind of a battleground for me. It's like, oh God, here we go. I got to play defense for my clients. It's funny. So it's just part of the game. It's not boring. I'm waiting for it to be boring, but it's really not for me. All right, let me get this last segment up and running. Was that one good? I know I've done it in the last probably 6 months, but I like talking about it.
It's been over a month since we've talked about at least the pizza being delivered and all that kind of stuff. So I don't think we've done it in the new year. So
Yeah. All right, let me step out just for a second.
Okay.
I'm conflicted against whether or not I should try to move offices. All right, I'm back whenever you guys are ready.
Okay. Let's see. I'll count us down in three, whoops, three, two, one. Welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate. It does it with Barb Schlinker, the host of the program and the owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Barb, most home sellers believe that they should leave for showings, but what are some of the top 5 showing mistakes that agents do to sellers' homes, and how can they be avoided by the home seller?
Well, first of all, buyers like to view the homes with their agents, preferably without distraction. Like if they have a home seller kind of hovering over them, it's a little awkward, and it's hard for them to kind of see themselves in the home, I guess. But there's no requirement for the seller to leave the home if it's being shown. You can just step out of the way. And part of the problem is that some people just don't want to go anywhere. Another part of the problem is that sometimes the sellers, and this is why the agents will tell you, oh, you should not be there for showings, is that sometimes the sellers will either point out all of the flaws in the house, or they'll try to oversell and kind of overwhelm them, or they just, I don't know, it's a little uncomfortable for the buyer. The buyers are a little bit less, um, a little bit fearful of actually exploring the home and kind of visualizing themselves in there, as I said. But if you do have to be home, it's okay. Just try not to hover. Maybe take the dog and go in the garage, or tell them you can be available for the questions if they want. But you certainly want to avoid discussing your motivation for selling, because that kind of speaks to, oh, maybe I can get a discount if I find out, well, they're moving because they're downsizing, or they're moving because, they're already bought another house, that kind of thing. That information should be kept private, because if you don't keep it private, these buyer's agents will try to use it against you. And I've had some crazy stuff happen at showings. First of all, most agents are going to tell you, make your home available all the time, day and night, whenever they want to show, drop everything and make it available. Well, I don't agree with that. I think you should make it work for you. There's an awful lot of people these days that are working from home, and it may not be convenient for them to allow agents and buyers to view the home every day, all day. You can expect that a majority of the showings are definitely going to be taking place on the weekends. So I would make arrangements for times on the weekends. And as we see the days getting longer and more daylight, make the home available, at least if you're working from home, in the afternoon, because a lot of people look at homes after they get off work, maybe 2 or 3 days a week at that time between, say, 4 to 7 o'clock, whatever works for you. But you don't necessarily have to do it every day. And there are an awful lot of agents that actually use a buyer lead, an opportunity to meet a buyer, by showing a house. What I mean by that is, maybe a buyer was looking on some website that they were connected to, and they say, hey, I want to see that home. Is it available? And so the very first offer from most agents is, sure, you want to go see it? Want to go look at it? And I have a problem with that, because they haven't really asked the buyer what they're looking for. They don't know, and they're not required to know, whether or not the buyer is qualified to buy the home, which I find utterly shocking and kind of a big hole in the industry here. However, so a lot of times the very first meeting with the buyer is at the house. Now, we see this all the time at our open houses. We'll see, people looking around, looking kind of awkward, and they'll go, oh, are you so-and-so, you so-and-so? Oh, nice to meet you. And then they walk up to our open house line and register, and they'll go, this is my buyer, as if they know anything about that buyer. And I guarantee you they don't. They just connected with them online. So sometimes they're using your home as a marketing opportunity, just to get in the door with the buyer and try to encourage them to go look at other homes as well. Same thing happens with the way some agents treat open houses. We don't treat them that way. We have a totally different strategy on open houses, but I will tell you that a lot of agents use open houses just to meet buyers, and that's not really what our goal is. Our goal is to create demand for our clients. Another thing about showing that that we see a lot is that, first of all, they don't know whether or not they're qualified, and they don't have to know. And unfortunately, I think right now in the Pikes Peak region, I haven't checked the numbers recently, but it's probably about 4,500. There are about 4,500 licensed agents in the Pikes Peak region, a lot more, of course, in Denver. And the stats are, they don't lie, across up and down the Front Range, 81% of agents sell 3 or less homes a year, and half of those don't sell any at all. Okay, so that means you've got agents that are either desperate for a sale, or just real estate's kind of a hobby for them. Oh, if I sell one, it'll be a bonus kind of thing. So a lot of them don't really study the market. And the problem is, when you get inside a home, the buyer expects you to know all about the home. They expect you to know all about the market. That is their expectation. There are actually real estate companies in this area that have built their business model on what they call the showing agent. These are licensed real estate agents that are paid to open a door. That's all they do. They don't know anything about the home. They can't give you advice about the real estate transaction. If the buyer's interested, they hand that person off to a selling agent, which is different to me. But the problem is they're using your house to get in front of these buyers in hopes that they might want to buy something. And what's interesting is I really never got any formal training about how to show a house until I was well into the business over 10 years. Most brokerages don't offer any kind of training. That means that most agents really don't know what is appropriate showing etiquette. So, Richard, questions for you. Do you think it's appropriate when somebody is showing your home to A, use the toilets, B, let the kids roam unsupervised and jump on the beds? How about leave crumbs on your kitchen counter, track mud or snow in the home, or let some other unvetted buyers tag along with your showing that they don't know anything about them? How do you feel about that?
Wait. We're talking about somebody who comes in on somebody else's showing and maybe they're thinking about buying, but we have no idea whether they could even remotely afford this house.
Or are they just, kind of scoping out the house for theft? And that
Yeah.
has happened. So you have to, this is the kind of stuff that goes on, right? And again, I can't tell these agents what they should be doing with their business. I can't control how the other agents do it. All I can do is inform the sellers that things are going to happen and there's a way to be prepared. Many times agents will leave doors unlocked, or maybe they'll just won't show up for the showing, or just had one just last month that left the combo in the box with the box wide open and the key just hanging out. He locked the door, but the
Left it
lockbox
there.
was wide open with the key right there.
Oh my gosh.
I've had them show up late, show up early, not show up at all, and fail to cancel. So these things happen a lot on showing nightmares. Use the restrooms without permission and not flush, which is a problem. My name is Barb Schlinker. I am the host of this show, Your Real Estate Voice. I'm also the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Barb has the buyer's team, and we're talking about agent showing nightmares. And next up, we're going to talk about what you can do in order to avoid those agent showing nightmares. And if you are thinking of making a move in the next 3 to 6 months, as part of what we do, we help home sellers get the most amount of money when they sell their home, either with cash offers or with buyers, lots of buyers, creating lots of buyer demand for their home so they get the most money. So give us a call at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker. She is the host of the program, and she is the owner proprietor of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Reach her at 719-301-3900. We're talking, Barb, about moving. What are some agents showing nightmares, and what can home sellers do to protect themselves?
Well, one tip is when you do have other people in your home unsupervised, make sure all of your valuables are locked up, all your alcohol is put away, anything small that can run away that has value to you, just put that away, okay? Because it's just too easy to lift it and stick it in a pocket. It doesn't happen very often, but you really don't want it to happen. Recently had a seller I represented up in a very expensive neighborhood, $2.4 million sale, and he had hired another agent prior to me. And what happened was somebody asked for a showing. The agent popped up at the door. Okay, I'll show it. I'll show it. Oh my God, a commission for $2.4 million sale. Woohoo. And she didn't vet this buyer at all. And this particular home had what we call a safe room. Now, I, as the subsequent agent, never got to see this room. But basically, this person only wanted to see this room. Now, the seller was home at the time. He said, nope, not going to show it to you unless you buy the house. And it turned out he looked up his name after the showing. He had just gotten let out of jail, right? So that's what I'm saying about no vetting that could go on with people coming into your house. So you have to protect your private valuable belongings for sure. And then I never got to see the safe room. Actually, the seller wouldn't let anybody in until after he had his money. So I never saw it either. And first impressions, of course, are very important. Um, you want to make sure that you exceed expectations when the buyers come in your home. It's good to play nice, pleasant music, leave the lights on, make sure it smells nice. You want to make it look like a model. That's why the models are so successful with selling homes, because it just smells good, feels good. Another thing that you want is, it's okay to have cameras up. You have to expect in a majority of the homes these days, there's going to be some kind of camera up somewhere. And that's where you get to hear the actual feedback of what the agents are saying, what the buyers are saying. And you want to make sure when you're selling a home, you hire the team that helps you prepare for agent showing nightmares and helps you get top dollar when you sell. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, your home sold guaranteed realty. If you're thinking of making a move, call Barb 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. Barb, you love talking about your hot new listings. What do you have for us today?
Well, I've got a great home out on 35 acres out east in the threes. I've got a fabulous home in Fountain on Blue River Way in the low fours. This thing has an amazing 3-story shed. A great home down in Fountain on Lavania Place in the mid fours. I also have a fantastic townhome in Briargate in the low threes, and a beautiful home on Brundage Drive, big rancher with a half-finished basement. It's got fresh carpet and furnace and roof. Spectacular home on Palma Valley, backs to dedicated open space in the Glen Eagle area in the upper sixes. Beautiful home on Gull Lane. And this one is out in Peyton on 5 acres. It has a solar system. It has a detached garage, a couple of barns, fenced and cross fenced. It's perfect for somebody that has a lot of four-legged family members. And new to the market this week, beautiful ranch on 5 acres on a Cowie Way out in Peyton in the mid sevens. This one also has a barn and lots of space for the four-legged family members. And sneak peek, we have a couple of homes coming very soon. One in the Powers corridor in the low fours. And this one is like the deal of the year. It's a 5-plex that's offered under 450, close to Fort Carson. And you veterans, you may not know that you can actually buy a 4-plex, 5-plex type of property, live in one unit, and get credit for all the current rental income. It's almost like living rent-free. So if you'd like to find out about all of our current homes and our coming soon homes, I've got another one coming soon, beautiful home in the Broadmoor. Give us a call at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You've been listening to Your Real Estate Voice, airs every Saturday. And if you're thinking of making a move, call Barb Schlinker, 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. If you couldn't listen to the entire show, you can watch replays on Barb's YouTube channel, Barb Has the Buyers, or listen to the podcast on all of the popular platforms, Apple, iHeart, Spotify. Thanks for listening. And to reach out to Barb, again, 719-301-3900. Barb, you have a great